Hello coders! Today we're going to be talking about donations and conference sites for web development. I'm joined by Ines Van Essen, or Mother of Code. That is the Twitter handle. Ines, how are you doing? Have you had a good week?
Hiya. Yeah, I've been doing really well. It's been really hot over here. So
where is over here?
The Netherlands.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yep.
I'm assuming it's nice and sunny then, if it's nice and hot.
Yeah, it went over 40 last week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. I'm really glad that we have a pool.
Yeah, right. So, did you have lots of barbecues?
Yep. Yeah, my husband and I are die-hard barbecue fans.
Nice.
So,
nice, yep. Nice. Awesome.
Bit of smoke is always good.
Right. Yeah, cool. So, you are the founder, creator, is that correct, of Donate
Yep.
WC?
That's correct.
That is a website for donations for WordCamp, right?
Yes, that's what the WC stands for.
Awesome. Before we get into the donation stuff, let's first dive into your background and just discuss how you got into web development. So can you talk us through that process?
So it started when I was in my teens, actually. I love to write stories, and I needed a blog, so I decided to start one. First, I think, what did I use? I think I used Wix. And then I couldn't do with that what I wanted. Mm-hmm. Things would misalign or not be in the place that I wanted to. So I just, figured out how to open the console and tweak stuff. Mm-hmm. And that just turned into using WordPress to build my own themes and just for hobby's sake. Mm-hmm. And then I was 22 and I couldn't find a job. And I figured, you know what, if no one's going to give me a job, I'm just going to create one myself. And I've always enjoyed doing these websites.
Right.
At some point, it just clicked like, hey, people actually make money.
Yeah.
Build websites for other people. If other people can do this, I'm going to be able to do this. So, yeah, I started doing PHP and, that's how stuff got started, really.
What an awesome story. That's a lot of self-motivation there and self-discipline and all of that caboodle. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So the inspiration was stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what kind of stories were you writing?
Really bad ones. No, I used to write really angsty teen poems.
Right.
And my passion still remains for fantasy stories, like high fantasy, mm-hmm. Tolkien kind of stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Nice. And I suppose WordPress is a great platform to actually put those stories online.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that you've gone to many conferences to do with WordPress too. Is that correct?
Yes. I started out as a freelance developer.
Right.
And I figured, if something like the WordPress project affects my livelihood as much, maybe I should be involved in the narrative. Maybe I should be involved in where the project is actually going.
Right.
And so I started volunteering in the forums because that was I think the easiest to get into. Mm-hmm. And that led to me being invited to different WordCamps and then the community summit in 2016 in Philadelphia.
Right. So you were helping out on the forums. Is that answering technical questions?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be. You can basically anyone who's ever done the 5-minute install of WordPress can go into the forums and help other people. But there's you can also contribute by, let's say, translating stuff. If you speak more than one language, you can go in and help out that way. But the forum for me was, I don't know, I've always enjoyed kind of translating the technical stuff into easy to understand stuff for other people, which is how I got into technical support in the first place, because that's something that I do pretty well.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So then how did that progress into the donation site?
So when I was invited to the community summit in Philadelphia, you have to understand, I started out living on government assistance. So in the Netherlands, you have a system where if you can't find a job, the government will pay you a certain amount. And then anything that you earn by doing jobs, they will deduct from that amount.
Sure.
So you have to earn up to a certain amount before you start earning more.
Okay.
So I had just dug my way out of that and dug my way out of debt, and my business was doing pretty okay. But it took me a month worth of income, about 1,400 euros, to actually get to the community summit, and then the WordCamp US that happened straight after. And the only reason that I was able to afford this was because I was in a hostel some 30 minutes away from the WordCamp venue, with sharing a room with two other people, with a guy who snored and ground his teeth really badly, and I couldn't sleep. It was just horrible. And that always kind of stuck with me as something that, I was invited to go to this thing. I donated my time, I donated my expertise and my efforts. But had I not been able to afford that, I would not have been able to go. And if me living in a country where the Netherlands is one of the most wealthy countries in the world, if someone like me has trouble affording such a trip, no way that someone in a similar position in a developing country is going to have the same opportunity. They can be invited all they want, but there's no way that they're going to be able to go.
Sure. Yeah.
And I brought this to the attention of the foundation at some point, and they were like, no, we're really kind of waiting for someone from the community to pick this up. And I was like, well, okay. If there's nothing existing just yet to solve this, maybe I should do it.
Right.
And I wrote a blog post on my idea, and that just went crazy. Yeah.
Brilliant. So it sounds like you've found a problem and solved it, or you're building a solution. Much like how you were writing stories, you found the solution through WordPress. So it's a lovely sort of journey from finding the tool that is enabling you to write these stories to then building a tool that enables other people to write stories. It's lovely.
Yeah, I mean, someone once said to me, the WordPress community, it's not about, we're all eating from the same pie.
Sure.
And it's not about increasing your own size of the pie. It's increasing the size of the pie itself.
Right.
So if we increase the size of the pie, we all benefit. It's not just me. That. It's everyone.
Yeah. God, I love that. That's such a good saying. I've never heard of it before. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
not mine. I have to be honest.
That's fantastic. So, okay. So let's talk about Donate WC. How long has that been there for? So
I wrote the blog post in September of 2017. And it's been on and off since then. I've had some health issues myself. I've been doing this primarily on my own. And if you I was pregnant, and if I had no energy or no mental capacity to work on this, it kind of went dormant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been active since 2017, but in reality, it's been, I think, closer to a year that we've been actively working on this.
That sounds good. That sounds really good. Before we go any further, what is the URL? What is the URL of Donate WC?
So that's donatewc.org.
Right.
And if you want to make a donation, it's donatewc.org/make-a-donation.
Nice.
I should really shorten that URL, maybe.
Well, I'll put links to all of this in the show notes.
Okay.
Okay, so if someone wants to make a donation, what is the process in which they need to go through in order to do such a thing?
So there is a donation form on the website. You can use PayPal or a credit card to set up a donation. You can also do a recurring donation if you want to. If you feel like, hey, I can skip a Starbucks once a month and I'll donate that money.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very much appreciated. It's just a form. It's basically like an e-commerce checkout.
Okay. And what's your process of accepting a donation? Is it just as soon as they fill it out, it gets accepted, or is there a process in which you have to go through in order to check that form is correct and so forth?
Right. So there's definitely a process behind this, because we can't go around and just sending everyone to a WordCamp. There's so many people in the community. Sure. It's just not feasible. Also, we kind of want to have this as a reward for people who've put in a lot of effort into the community and would otherwise not be able to. So it's not for first timers. It's not for people who just want to experience a WordCamp. Sorry. It's really meant for existing contributors.
Okay.
And as soon as the application comes in, we have a couple of people who review that application. So it's not just me. Mm-hmm. That's something that I've said from the start. I don't want to be the sole person to do that, because it wouldn't be fair. Mm-hmm. It should not be just me making that decision. So there's a couple of people from all around the world having a voice in who gets the sponsorship and who doesn't.
Right.
And yeah, I can't really share too much about the further process. One, because we don't want people to abuse that information.
Game the
but
system.
two,
yeah, of course.
It really, really depends on the situation.
Sure.
It depends on how far someone is from the WordCamp. It depends on what their situation is. There's a whole bunch of factors.
Right. So I'm assuming then it must take a fair amount of time to process all of this, because it's literally a case by case.
Yep, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a full-time job for me.
Blimey.
On top of my full-time job.
And then I guess you need to then portion out the donations. Is that correct? You get like a pool of donations, and you need to distribute that to those people, and therefore you need to somehow means test, I suppose, I guess, the applicants.
We have a certain funding goal that we set for a year.
Right.
For this year, for 2019, it's been 10,000 euros. About 2 days ago, we actually met that goal.
That's brilliant.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's wow. It's mind-boggling to see how far that's gotten.
That's great.
So I've calculated that. I've done a bit of research, and I calculated that every sponsorship takes about 1,000 or 2,000 euros. It really depends on how far they are from the WordCamp and what else they need. So people can decide not to take the full sponsorship. So they can decide, I can afford the hotel on my own, but the plane ticket is too expensive. Or I can do the food on my own, but I need some help getting the hotel and the transportation done.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what their needs are, how much money we have to spend.
So that was a question I was going to ask, is what can the applicant use that donation for? But you've just said, the transport, the hotel, the ticket.
Right. So we don't actually hand over the money to recipients, again, to prevent abuse.
Sure.
What we do is we book the travel for them. So everything that they get under the sponsorship, we do for them, except for stuff like food. So if they spent money on food, they can basically expense it from the foundation.
Right.
And what is covered is door-to-door transportation. So say a taxi to the airport and the flight, and then the taxi or an Uber to the hotel stay. They get a stipend for food, an internet connection if they need one for outside of the venue. And that's it really. What they don't get is money for a passport or a visa.
Right.
We don't cover insurance. And that's really to do with, legal stuff. We had a lot of trouble convincing a bank to take us on because they thought that we would be involved in people smuggling.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that I didn't even think of that in terms of the amount of work that you're doing. Yeah. It's not just a case of here's a website, fill out a form, job done. There is so much more.
Yeah,
all the way up to the conference. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm assuming these conferences you and others will go to, and therefore you're there trying to organize other people to get there. I mean, yeah. I've been to conferences myself, and it's a job just to organize myself to get there. So to organize someone else, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a country that you've never been to before. We helped someone get to South Africa.
Right.
Last year. And I had to figure out how much money is normal to spend on food. Because you can't say, here's a budget for food if the cost of living is way higher than your own country. Or say, you can spend this amount of money on food, which enables them to go to a 3-star restaurant.
Right.
That's not the intention. So that's also stuff that we need to figure out.
Sure.
Which, is an added layer of, I feel like a travel agent.
Yeah, right. You're wearing lots of hats there. You are. And there's obviously massive cultural changes and differences as well. The assumptions on like you said, the cost of food and living and transport and so forth.
Which is also why I did not want to be the sole person to make the decision on who gets the sponsorship.
Yeah.
Because there might be cultural stuff that I'm not aware of.
This is true, yeah.
I know that some visa applications require a woman to prove that she is either she has children or a husband in her home country, so she can prove that she will not stay in the country. That's things that you and I barely have to think about.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, gosh, that's opening up a whole can of worms there. The way that it could be misused as well is right. Okay, so how many applicants have you supported so far?
So far it's been 5.
Cool.
And we've had to deny a couple as well,
right.
Because they didn't fit the bill of what we were expecting of an applicant.
I see. And on the flip side, how many people have donated?
I'm not 100% sure because we've had some combined donations.
Sure.
But a ballpark figure is 250.
Nice.
About, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very nice figure.
Yep. And we've had some companies donate as well. It's not just individuals. It's been companies who are involved in the community who have donated as well.
Well, that's really, really good. And it's a good segue into another question of mine. And that is it just finance that people can donate, or is there other things that people can do to support the cause?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I've been doing this pretty much on my own for quite some time. I've had some help here and there, but most of it has been me. So one of the things that I'm just not good at is, and this is weird because I write stories, but I'm not good at content creation. So writing engaging blogs, setting up social media, stream, all that stuff is something that is not something that I am particularly good at. So if there's someone out there who has those skills, they can definitely volunteer. Or, if there's anything else that they feel like, hey, I'm involved in setting up a WordCamp. I'd like to make sure that people know of this foundation. I have banners and media and all that stuff ready for them to use to put the word out. WordCamp Dublin is actually the first WordCamp who's put it on their ticket purchase page. So cool. If you go to the checkout page, they have a banner or a section that says, if you want to help someone else get to a WordCamp, you can donate here. Which is awesome. That's exactly what we need right now, is as many eyes on the foundation as possible. So it's not just money. That's the first thing that we are looking for, of course, as a nonprofit, but it's definitely not the only thing.
No, I mean, there's also all the other things that you've mentioned that just take up an awful lot of time. And as you rightly mentioned, that that there are these cultural differences that you and I may not be aware of, and if someone could just jump on and just say, point you in a direction, or just donate a portion of their time to help out, that'd be really, really good. Yeah. How does one go about doing that? How does one come to you and say, I can provide you with X?
So there's multiple ways. We're on Twitter, so donate _WC is the Twitter handle. You can email us at info@donatewc.org, or you can use the contact form at donatewc.org.
Awesome. Excellent. I'll put those links down too. So congratulations on hitting your goal already. And we've just hit halfway across the year. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is the future of Donate WC?
So next year, I've done a talk about Donate WC last week at WordCamp Europe. Which has brought a lot of attention to the whole foundation. What I really want to do is at least double our funding goal for 2020. So 20 in 2020 is has a ring to it, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
What I'm really hoping is that we get some more corporate sponsors on board who will do a yearly contribution. Just to, show that they are committed to making the community as best as they can. So we really need these people to, to voice what their experience is with WordPress, because if we make WordCamps only for people who can afford it, we become exclusive of a very large part of the world. So I'm hoping that, more and more companies will see the value in contributing to this. And then maybe at some point we merge this into the WordPress Foundation. That would be my end goal, to have it fall under the global foundation.
What would the benefits of that be?
Not having me as the sole person behind.
Yeah.
It's what we've seen in the past 2 years. If I get sick, the foundation stops.
Right.
So I want to create a situation where, A, I'm not the only one making the decisions, and B, we have a what's that called? A contingency plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens if something happens to me, or if I want to stop, or if I'm no longer involved in the WordPress world? I don't think it's going to happen. But, we need to think about this. It's a lot of money involved and a lot of people relying on this. So I'd rather have a global foundation that's already there, already very solid, to take it over. And honestly, in my opinion, it feels like something that belongs to the WordPress Foundation, to the community, and not so much as a personal side project of mine. That's
a lovely thing to say. That the project is bigger than oneself. Yeah, definitely. And that this is a very major thing that you can contribute back to WordPress.
Yep.
Yeah. I definitely see how that would be a big benefit, a big thumbs up. And I definitely hope that you get that goal in 2020. That would be fantastic. In terms of corporate sponsors, are you able to mention who has sponsored you so far?
Yep, we've had 2 corporate sponsors. So far, it's Yoast. Right. I mean, everyone in the WordPress world knows
the SEO plugin. Yeah.
Yep. They have their own diversity fund, but they also very graciously decided to donate to the foundation. And then there's GiveWP, which is also the plugin that we use to collect donations. They were sponsors from the moment I wrote the blog post. They saw it and they were like, yes, we're going to get on board with this and we're going to make sure that you get up and running. So they funded basically the startup of the foundation. It's an official, I went to the notary and everything. Mm-hmm. So it's all official, and they made sure that I had the funds to do this.
Excellent. That's really good.
Yep.
And have the people who you were able to send to WordCamp through the donations, have they has any of them got back in touch and said what they had learnt, or have you kept in contact with them, or?
Yeah, so we had Trust, who went to WordCamp Cape Town. Right. That is. And he's written a blog post that's on the website for people to read. The thing is, though, we value privacy very much, because people who do not have a lot of money, they don't really want to advertise that they don't. So, we put it to them if they want to share their story, yes or no. We keep in touch with them, but it's up to them really to share their story.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I totally understand that. Conferences, from my personal experience, are extremely expensive. Are you able to talk about why that might be?
Why the travel is expensive?
Well, just why a conference ticket in general is expensive.
So I think it's a relative term, to be honest with you.
Right.
I think WordCamp tickets are relatively cheap if you compare it to other tech conferences. They're usually around 40 euros, depending on how much sponsorship they've gotten from the community. There's a lot of different things involved in a conference. So
I wasn't talking just about WordCamp. I meant just in general, conferences in general.
Right. I think the answer is pretty much the same. You have a lot of cost keeping it running. So there's the venue, there's the food, there's the staff, there's marketing of the event, etc., etc. A big thing is also, I think, speaker. What's it called? I lost the word. Not contribution.
Compensation.
Yes, thank you. So it's also speaker compensation that has to do with this. A lot of the times, speakers outside of a WordCamp, so non-WordPress specific conferences, they get paid for what they do. In the WordPress community, we consider that donating your time and your expertise.
Right.
And something that I've always kind of hammered on in my talks about this is we all have access to the same amount of time, right? Time is equal amongst all of us. Money is a different issue. So yes, we can expect community members to donate their time. And yes, that is fair. We cannot expect everyone to donate the same amount of money in terms of, funding, going to these WordCamps and donating their time. That is the unequal part. But yeah, to come back to your question, I think conferences are a lot more expensive than people think to put it together.
Right. Yeah.
I think there's a lot more moving parts involved, a lot more to pay for, especially in terms of venue and, having a stage and having food and all that jazz. I think that's a very expensive part.
That's true. That's true. I just wanted to get it from your perspective, and that all makes sense. And I love the thing that you said there about we all have the same amount of time, but we don't have the same amount of money.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's creating a platform that you've done that allows you to spread that and share that with others that wouldn't necessarily be able to do it. And and it's such a lovely gift that you can you're giving to the community. It's such a wonderful thing. You must really it must be a buzz when you're actually able to send these people off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I was able to do so, I have to admit, I cried. I was like, and honestly, it's not about my satisfaction. It's just, I had an idea and people responded to it.
Yeah.
And people were like, yes, of course we should do this. And of course we should, come together and make sure that this person is able to go. And that in itself was just awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it sounds like it's just going to get better and better.
I hope.
Yeah. Well, you've reached your goal in the first half of the year. So that's wonderful, wonderful news. Well, thank you ever so much, Ines, for your time. Is there anything else that you wish to mention? Any social links that you want to plug or anything?
I think the one thing that I would really want to instill in your listeners is, if you want to contribute financially, it doesn't have to be much. You don't have to donate hundreds of euros or pounds or whatever. If you decide to skip your coffee on your way to work once a month and take that money and put it in a fund, if we have, say, the 3,000 people who bought a ticket to WordCamp Europe, we would have had 15,000 euros to work with or more. That makes a huge, huge difference. So if you have the opportunity to donate, say, €5 or 10 every month, please consider doing so, because that makes a huge difference for someone else. You can really change the life for someone else by doing this. Yeah. And then, follow us on Twitter. So that's at donate_WC. You can follow us in all the things that we're doing and updates as they come in. and sharing what we have to say really helps get more eyes on the foundation, and that also really helps.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of really good, inspiring things that you've mentioned today. You know, the whole progression of writing stories all the way to helping people to go to conferences. It's a wonderful thing that you're doing, and there is so many people who watch listen to the podcast and watch the YouTubes, and they're all, you know, they do a lot of WordPress, and some of them I know have gone to WordCamp, and some of them I know would love to go. So yeah, this is such a great initiative that you're doing. So I thank you very much in behalf of the whole community. I thank you very much, and congratulations on getting to that target. And let's hit that target again next year.
Yes, that's for sure. Thank you so much for inviting me over.
No worries. It's been a total pleasure. Well, thanks ever so much for listening on the podcast and watching on the YouTubes. Happy coding, everyone. I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye.